You know what absolutely blows my mind? I've watched Americans confidently explain World War II to Europeans who literally grew up hearing first-hand accounts, acting like they're revealing brand new information. I'm British, and I've had this exact conversation hundreds of times across Europe, and the pattern never changes. An American says, "We saved you in World War II." Then a European answers, "Mate, you joined 2 years after everyone else, only once you were attacked." The look on their faces when they hear the real timeline? Absolutely priceless. But here's what I honestly want to understand. Why do so many Americans genuinely believe they single-handedly won a war that had already been raging for 2 full years before they entered it? Most Americans don't realize this, but they arrived in World War II the same way I show up to parties, fashionably late. Then they act like they organized the whole thing and want front-row credit in all the group photos afterward. The war began in September 1939. America entered in December 1941. That's not saving Europe. That's joining a book club after everyone already read the book, and then explaining the plot to the people who actually finished it. Just to be clear, I'm British, born in London, grew up listening to my grandparents talk about the Blitz, hiding in tube stations during air raids, rationing, blackout curtains, and wondering if each day would be the one the Nazis tried crossing the Channel. All of this happened before America even considered joining the fight. My grandfather was dodging bombers in 1940 while Americans were still debating whether they even wanted to get involved. So when someone says America saved Britain, I've got a few thoughts. And trust me, this isn't just a Britain-America thing. This happens everywhere. At a museum in Brussels, I watched an American dad correct a Belgian tour guide about the year Americans liberated Belgium. The guide smiled politely and said, "Yes, sir, in 1944, after we'd been occupied for 4 years. He nodded like he'd taught her something new. His wife looked like she wanted the floor to open up. That's when I realized I needed to start keeping track of these moments. The mismatch between confidence and reality is incredible. It's like they learned the war from a highlight reel that only includes American scenes. Pearl Harbor. D-Day. America wins. Roll credits. Everything before 1941? Opening credits nobody watches. Everything after D-Day that wasn't American? Bonus content nobody clicks on. And the best part? It's not just the missing facts, it's the confidence. The absolute certainty. They don't say, "I think America helped a lot." They say, "We saved you." Full stop. Bold font. No discussion. And when you offer context, nuance, or basic historical facts, they look at you like you're the one rewriting history. I'm about to show you what happens when confidence collides with actual events. Trust me, you'll enjoy this. Stay for the story of the American tourist who tried explaining D-Day to a Normandy local whose grandfather actually fought there. You genuinely won't believe what happened. The second-hand embarrassment alone is worth it. So I'm at a pub in London one evening. Proper local place, not the kind tourists end up in. Dark wood everywhere, sticky floors, and that familiar mix of old beer and fish and chips hanging in the air. My grandfather is with me. He's 92 and actually served in the war. Lived it, fought in it. An American tourist strikes up a conversation with him, full confidence, pint in hand. He says, "Must feel strange knowing America saved you guys back then." My grandfather doesn't even flinch. He takes a slow sip of his drink and replies, "Oh yes, very grateful. Shame you missed the first 2 years, though. We were beginning to think you weren't coming." The American frowns. "First 2 years?" My grandfather nods. "Well, it started in 39, didn't it? You lot arrived in 41. Were you lost?" I watch the American's face as his entire high school history knowledge collapses. His mouth opens and shuts like he's doing mental arithmetic for the first time in his life. Then he mutters something about using the bathroom and disappears. My grandfather just goes back to his crossword, as if nothing happened. Fast forward 3 months. I'm giving a tour at the Imperial War Museum. I moonlight as a guide. Long story. An American family asks about the Battle of Britain display. Old aircraft parts, uniforms, air raid sirens. I explain, this was 1940, when the RAF defended Britain against German bombing. The dad interrupts me. "Before we joined, right?" I nod. "Yes. Britain stood alone for He cuts me off again. But you knew we were coming. I pause. Did we? How? He just stares at me, opens his mouth, then nothing. Pure silence. His teenage daughter covers her face like she wants to evaporate. The mum suddenly finds a display case very interesting. The dad stays silent for the rest of the tour. Jump ahead to last summer. I'm in Berlin at a beer garden with a few mates. Big wooden tables, pretzels the size of your head, live music in the background. We meet a group of Americans, and of course, World War II gets mentioned. It's Berlin. It always comes up. One guy leans back confidently and says, without America, you'd all be speaking German right now. My German friend doesn't miss a beat. Mate, I am speaking German right now. It's my first language. The whole table goes silent. The American freezes mid-sip, beer halfway to his mouth. His friend pretends to check his phone even though the screen is black. Another waves for the waiter despite a full glass. Nobody knows where to put their eyes. My German friend calmly bites his pretzel like he didn't just undo a lifetime of someone's assumptions in 8 words. And here's the pattern I keep seeing. It's not that Americans don't know history. They know their history. The version that plays like a short film. Opening scene is Pearl Harbor, big action sequence is D-Day, America wins, credits roll. If it didn't make it into a Spielberg or Tom Hanks movie, it barely exists in the lesson plan. And the confidence? Never shaken. Never tentative. It's not, maybe we helped a lot. It's we saved you. Full stop. Bold. End of conversation. That's when things get interesting. But all of that still doesn't compare to what happened in Normandy. Last June, I visited the D-Day beaches. Beautiful, solemn, heavy with history. I'm standing on Omaha Beach, waves coming in, sand under my shoes, when I overhear an American guy talking to a French woman. Her grandfather had been in the resistance for years, risked his life, worked in secret, helped fight the occupation. The American says, must feel amazing knowing America liberated your country. The French woman looks at him, speaking perfect English. Yes, very kind of you to help, she says. After the Soviets took most of the pressure on the Eastern Front and the British fought in North Africa, and after France resisted for 4 years. The American shifts uncomfortably. But D-Day, that was all us. She shakes her head. D-Day involved British, Canadian, and American forces. 3 beaches were British and Canadian. 2 were American. He starts getting desperate. Okay, but who planned it? She doesn't blink. The British. Operation Overlord was designed by British Command. Eisenhower approved it. I've never seen someone's entire worldview fall apart so clearly. His face cycles through confusion, denial, frustration, then just emptiness. He turns around and walks toward the car park without saying another word. His wife has to jog after him. I swear I heard him mutter, "That can't be right." When he's gone, the Frenchwoman turns to me, smiles, and says, Americans, always very confident, not always very correct. Highlight of my year. Then there's my friend Sarah, who teaches history at a university in Edinburgh. Last semester, she had an American exchange student who insisted loudly that World War II began in 1941. Sarah, staying calm, said, "No, it started in 1939 when Germany invaded Poland." The student raised his voice. "But that's not when we joined." Sarah nodded. "Correct. You joined 2 years later." He was nearly shouting by now. "We weren't late. We were waiting for the right moment." Sarah took a slow breath. The right moment was when Pearl Harbor was attacked. Very strategic waiting indeed. The student actually filed a complaint, saying she was being anti-American. The department head, who is Irish and whose grandfather fought the Nazis, basically laughed the complaint out of his office. Here's the real issue. American World War II education is usually Pearl Harbor, then D-Day, then victory, then credits. Everything else becomes a tiny footnote. Britain holding out alone for 2 years? Footnote. The Soviet Union losing millions? Footnote. European resistance movements fighting for years? Barely mentioned at all. The result? Entire generations of Americans walking around Europe confidently telling Europeans how their own history happened. Which brings me to the story that tops every story before it. I'm at Oxford for a World War II symposium, proper academic setting, scholars from all over Europe, serious rooms with old wooden chairs and people furiously taking notes. During the Q&A session, an American student stands up and actually says, "With respect to the panel, isn't it true that without American intervention the Nazis would have won?" The room goes silent. 200 historians processing what they just heard. Someone drops a pen and it sounds like thunder. Then an elderly Polish professor stands. He survived the Warsaw Uprising, he lived through it. He looks at the student and says, slowly and clearly, "Young man, my country was invaded in 1939. My family fought the Nazis for 6 years. Your country sold us weapons and entered the war after your own ships were attacked, not out of charity but self-defense. America helped us win. You did not save us. We saved ourselves. You helped. There is a difference." The applause started soft and then grew like a wave. People stood, clapping so hard their hands must have stung. It went on for 2 full minutes. The American student went beet red, sat down immediately, and didn't speak again for the rest of the day. Here's what all these moments have taught me. Americans aren't wrong when they say they helped win the war. They absolutely did. D-Day was massive. American factories producing aircraft, tanks, food and supplies made an enormous difference. The post-war rebuilding through the Marshall Plan was huge. All of that is true. No one is arguing against it. But helped win and saved everyone single-handedly are 2 completely different ideas. One means teamwork, multiple nations fighting together, sharing losses, sharing victories. The other suggests the rest of the world was just sitting around waiting for America to show up and do everything. That's not how it happened. Not even close. Remember my grandfather from the pub? The one who actually lived through it. He always says the same thing. The Americans were brilliant allies. They just arrived after most of the dying was done, and then made all the films. And honestly, that sums it up perfectly. America helped, hugely. D-Day was huge. The supplies and manufacturing were huge. The Marshall Plan rebuilt half the continent. All facts. But there's a clear difference between "we helped win the war as part of an alliance" and "we alone saved everyone." One is history, the other is something out of a blockbuster movie. And when people try to tell Europeans, many of whom had family fighting, hiding, resisting, or suffering for years before America entered, that everything was saved solely by the US, you get moments like the Oxford Symposium. You get elderly Polish professors giving spontaneous history lessons. You get my grandfather asking visitors if they got lost on their way. So next time someone says, "We saved you in World War II, just smile and say, "You helped." 2 years late. After you were attacked. But yes, you helped. Then watch their face when they finally search the dates. That moment when the page loads and they see September 1939 is priceless. Now drop a comment. What's your favorite World War II detail Americans almost never mention? I'll read every single one.